Before anyone will pay any attention to your efforts to persuade them, they will first ask themselves, why should I listen to you? What they care about here is your ethos, your character. A lot of ethos is about the way you come across to other people around you. In my introduction to ethos, logos and pathos, I listed things like character, trust, gravitas, charisma, impact, personality, liking, optimism, confidence, authority, credibility, style, and integrity. But how do you underline all of these? Well, some of them I will discuss in subsequent videos in this series. In particular, I'll have videos on why appearance matters, how to influence people by making them feel good, and how to use your authority and your credibility to influence and persuade people. And you'll also find a lot of valuable material in my course on personal impact, and I'll put a link in the description below. This course covers things like impact, trust, charisma, and gravitas. But ethos is fundamentally about character. And 2.5 centuries ago, Heraclitus said that character is destiny. And if you're interested in some inspiring stories that illustrate this quote, then I recommend an excellent book by the former US Senator John McCain called Character is Destiny, and I'll put a link to it down below. To me, there are two things that best reflect your true character, and these are the two things that I would argue you most need to work on to develop your ethos. These are action and attitude. Actions speak louder than words, and there are 3 types of action that consistently impress people, lead them to like you, respect you, and trust you. These 3 things are courtesy, generosity, and reliability. So let's look at each one. Courtesy is a label for all those behaviours that both conform to the social norms, but also make people think that it's a pleasure to be around you. Fundamentally, courtesy is a sign of respect, although of course what constitutes courtesy is culturally determined. What might seem polite and courteous in one culture may come across as rude and disrespectful in another, so you have to understand the culture within which you're working. Common examples include letting people go first, holding doors, helping them with parcels, or simply saying thank you. None of these things are difficult, but they do say a lot about you, and they are also persuasive for the simple fact that they trigger a very important component of influence: reciprocity. If I am courteous to you, then you will be courteous to me in return. If I do you a small favour, which could be seen as a courtesy, maybe at some time you will return that favour. So, show your gratitude. When you want something, say please, and when you receive something, say thank you. And of course, you can always give your thank yous a little more impact by being more specific. Rather than just saying thank you, say thank you for, and articulate what you are grateful for. The second kind of action that builds trust and liking and is therefore influential is generosity. Generosity builds your influence in oh so many ways. Firstly, of course, it shows you have the resources to be generous, which shows that you're someone of some stature and authority. Secondly, of course, generosity can trigger reciprocity. And third, generosity simply shows that you are thoughtful and therefore a person to be liked and respected. sharing your ideas, donating your time freely, and not quibbling over little details of debt and who owes what to whom, all show a generosity of spirit which people really value. So, to build your influence, look for opportunities to be generous. Whenever those opportunities arise, keep generosity at the forefront of your thinking when deciding how to handle the situation. As an exercise, try listing the names of all of your current colleagues and business contacts down the left-hand side of a sheet of paper. Against each name, note one generous thing that you could do for that person in the coming month or so. This way, you're investing in the bank of reciprocity. You're building up your reputation as a generous person and therefore becoming more influential. The third type of action that is influential is follow-through or reliability. When you make a commitment, make sure that you follow through on it. If you don't, you'll get completely the wrong sort of reputation. It's far better not to make a commitment than to take on commitments that you know or suspect you won't be able to follow through on. Your reputation for reliability is essential if you're to build trust and influence with the people around you. If you do build a reputation for reliability, then people will trust you because we like people whose actions accord with their promises. The other aspect of ethos that I want to focus on in this video are your attitudes. And there are three that we're going to talk about, and they are all closely related to one another. And these are flexibility, persistence, and optimism. If two people find themselves in the same situation, they both want the same thing, then you can bet that the one who is more flexible in their thinking and their behaviours and their choices is more likely to be successful. Flexible people tend to get what they want because they are adaptable. They can find different ways to act to achieve their goals. Do you remember a time when you were trying to influence someone or persuade someone about something and it just wasn't working? So you tried again and again and again. And whilst the broken record approach of repeating your request or repeating your argument can sometimes work, sometimes it's a case of, if at first you don't succeed, try something different. Because if you always do what you always did, then you'll always get what you always got. So, when you're prepared to switch tactics with your persuasion and to keep switching tactics until you succeed, you can try a whole lot of different strategies and approaches until eventually you find the one that is really best suited to the way the person you're trying to persuade thinks, the way their thought processes work, the way they perceive the world, and what their priorities really are. But persistence does work, as long as you don't take it to the point of futility. Keeping on persisting when the evidence shows that you're wrong is just stupid. But the willingness to persist, to be resilient in the face of adversity and setbacks, is an attractive characteristic. It's an attitude that draws people to you. We like persistent, resilient people, and therefore we find them influential. And the fact is that sometimes people need to sit with something in order to be persuaded. So persistence in persuasion and influencing does work. When I first learned about sales, I was told that people sometimes need to hear the arguments for a product that will serve them well 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times before it really clicks with them. Because one of the most important ways that we build liking to ourselves and to things around us is through familiarity. We come to like the things that we're familiar with, which is why so many advertising campaigns are based on nothing more than making a product seem familiar and omnipresent. So, persistence is influential and it is persuasive, as long as you are prepared to stop when someone asks you to. Be respectful. Respect people's wishes, and if they don't want you to carry on, then just stop. The final attitude is optimism. Optimism is a huge asset. I always say that pessimists are right more often, but people like optimists, and therefore you will get more of what you want if you have an optimistic approach to life and to events in general. But of course, optimism is not about blindly believing that things will work out no matter what. It's about having a sense that there are always opportunities, there are always resources to draw on, and therefore keeping your senses, your perception attuned so that you can spot and seize those opportunities as soon as they arise. Pessimists can drain the energy of the people around them. Optimists lift that energy. They tend to build bigger, stronger, more loyal networks of contacts which give them more resources, which therefore fulfill their optimism. With more contacts, with more resources, they can get more done, they can get better results, and then, hey, their optimism will often be well-founded. So there are many components to ethos, but perhaps the two most important ones that demonstrate your character are the actions you take and the attitudes you display. Please do give a thumbs up if you like this video. I'll be making loads more great management courses content for you, so please do subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and in the meantime, keep learning.